live with another episode of BS Busters. Um, Thank you for joining us. So, with that being said, let's have the lady introduce herself first, and then, all right, the gentleman, and then we'll dive into it. Well, first, I'll give you an overview of what today's podcast is going to be about, and then we'll dive into the topic. So, let's do it. Thank you for joining us. So, with that being said,
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, to the BS Busters Midweek Podcast for October 7th. And of all things to come up, we got Mark of the Dragon. Like a Dragon coming up.
yeah,
At least this month.
that's in November, but I decided a new trailer came out, and I was like, I was kind of upset that they dubbed it, but the voice actors they got actually sound pretty good. Because like the last time I played a dubbed Yakuza game, the dubbing was so bad that it was like I'd rather just listen to the subs.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just. Well, that's not true. The
I was
first
going to
Yakuza.
say, I would say this would be a big debate between sub and dubs for a lot of people. Because anime does this kind of trouble too.
Well, I mean, the first Yakuza actually had a pretty good translation. They got Mark Hamill to do the voice for Mad Dog Majima, Goro Majima. Which, if you know who Goro Majima is in the Yakuza series, he's fucking crazy. So, like, basically, it was Mark Hamill just playing the Joker. So, it actually worked pretty well. But they couldn't get the license when they re-released that game to have Mark Hamill do the voice because Mark Hamill's expensive. So instead, they just used all subs. But Sega apparently is making, like, the Yakuza games are making more money now, so they can afford, to sub things. I'm hoping down the line for Like a Dragon, they'll give you the option to have subs though. Because I still I've played at this point. I've played so many Yakuza games that were in Japanese that were just translated text and subtitles. I'd rather just have that at this point, just out of habit. But Kenoshi, introduce yourself.
It's Kanoshi Abominito. Glad to be on another one of these BS Busters.
All right. So, and of course it's me, Mr. Red Fox. So anyone here have any? So what have you guys been playing?
For me, I've been trying. For me, I've been trying to play the Wonderful 101, and it's still as difficult as I remember it.
Now, is this Wonderful 101 for the Switch or the Wii U?
Wii U.
Oh, okay, all right.
I still got it, and I was trying to see if it's still as difficult as I remember it.
Oh, it is. Like the problem with platinum games, I've discovered, just for me, just for
I
my own
remember on normal mode.
just for my own obser. I keep on belching before I can get to the end of that statement. Just for my own observations, is platinum games really sucks at making
Games that you could easily drop into.
yeah, they suck at difficulty curves. They can't make a well difficulty curved game if their lives depended on it.
I was about to say, the difficulty curve is their difficulty level. Like you got very easy, normal, hard, ape kicking.
Well, I mean, it's just like, I mean, the problem with platinum, like I said, is that they can't like.
That's the only way they could ever have a difficulty curve.
There's only one game that platinum has made where the difficulty curve is just right, and that's Okami. Every other platinum game, like, you play it and then there's like hidden features that you wouldn't know unless you read a FAQ. There's gameplay concepts you wouldn't know about unless you read a FAQ. Like platinum,
There's that you would miss if you didn't have an FAQ.
Yeah, like I mean that's kind of the flaw with Platinum is just is like their games are really good, but they make games for gamers. And if you aren't an old school gamer, you're not gonna get most of their games. Like you're not gonna get if you play a Platinum game, you're not gonna get everything that's in there, because they just don't make games for people like you. And that's kind of the flaw with Platinum. That's the only real flaw with Platinum, in my opinion, is that they don't make games. Um, they don't make games for Joe Blow everybody. Like their games are very like, okay, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to. You know what I mean? It's kind of the flaw with Platinum. Um, so Kenoshi, what have you been playing?
I'm playing Crash 4 mainly, and yeah, this game's pretty good. It stays in the spirit of the other games while adding some newer stuff.
All right. Well, that's good. I have been playing. What have I been playing? I've been playing some Baldur's Gate 3 because I'm insane.
Wasn't that released this month?
It was released yesterday.
How is it so far?
I mean, basically, if you took Divinity 2 and then stripped a lot of the freedom that you have in it because it's in D&D, because D&D is more structured than a Larian game, a Divinity game, you'd have this game. I mean, it's still got freedom to it, but it's set in. I mean, it's the reason why whenever I play D&D these days, it's mostly homebrew campaigns versus following strictly what's in the fifth edition game manual, because like D&D has become too structured and rigid about a lot of shit. Now they're trying to open it up, but I mean, this series has been out since the 70s, and it's been all structured and regimented. And like, well, you can't do this, and this alignment can't do this, and this character can't. I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'm homebrewing this shit. So it's it's a lot better. Like because even back in the day when it was like AD&D, which is 2.5, like I preferred to create interesting and unique characters. Like my goblin paladin bug rub, you know. Like I couldn't do that with typical things. It's like, oh, goblins are chaotic evil. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this, please.
Well, what happened?
No, I'm just saying. I was using that as a rhetorical phrase. I wasn't talking to anyone in specific particular. That's basically how I feel. So before we go any further, the main to just give you an overview of what we'll be talking about in today's podcast. We're talking about the main topic is going to be what would be our idealized game. For example, what would be your ultimate Super Mario platformer? As in, what would be into it? Or
okay,
what'd you say, Jewel?
I thought it was just ultimate platformer, but all right.
No, I just use that as an example. It doesn't have to be a platformer. It could be RPG, a racing game, whatever. It could be like a general idea of what would be the idealized game in that genre, or you could use a specific.
Yeah.
Like, what would be your idealized Legend of Zelda?
I see what you're talking about, though. If anything, it might take a bit for me to come up with something, so we might get there soon.
All right. Well, I mean, that's going to be later on in the cast. And then we'll talk about upcoming games this month we're looking forward to playing or not playing. And then we'll float over our thoughts about gaming in 2020 thus far. And finally, we'll do unpopular opinions. I want to flip it up. I want to do an unpopular. I want to do my unpopular opinion right now because I was really thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, so then I don't have to do it later. So here's my unpopular opinion. My unpopular opinion is this: I don't give a fuck about prequels in video games. Um, I think that they're a waste of time.
Kind of
Um,
like some of the Star Wars episodes.
well, actually, the Star Wars prequel actually made sense because when you first start playing Star Wars, I mean, when you first watch Star Wars, like the very first A New Hope, there's all of this world, there's all this exposition of what's going on that's hinted to, but never explained. Like, how could this fascist regime take over? How could all these people lose their rights? How could you have this monolithic government basically attacking their own people, using weapons of mass destruction against their own people, um, and no accountability? Like, how could the universe? How could this world get to this point? You know what I mean? You need a there needed to be a prequel to explain how things got to that point. If you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
So
It's just that some people would say the prequels trilogy was a little bit of a sour note.
well, it wasn't well done, but like the actual okay, the execution wasn't well done, but the actual prequel, the information was necessary to just like you know
To
because
understand four, you needed one, two, and three, right?
well you need okay, let me put it this way. The execution wasn't well done, but the ideas behind the execution were necessary. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Like we needed one, two, and three, even though it was not in the best of conditions.
Exactly. Like because I mean, if there was no prequel trilogy, you would be wondering, okay, how did the Galactic Republic get to this point? How did slavery become a major thing? How did the Jedi fall? Why is there no one who's actually like, this is some fucked up shit. These people are just murdering the shit out of just random people. Your own government. Um, this ultra fascist regime. You know, um, like all this really fucked up shit, and there's no explanation for it. And like it's hinted at in the original trilogy, like it's hinted like more so in A New Hope than
Any
any
of our
other
story.
any of the original trilogy. A New Hope really does a lot of world building. They're like in the first opening where one of the admirals of this on the Star Destroyer is talking shit to Darth Vader. He's like, "Do you know what you're doing? Like, if you attack Princess Leia, she'll garner sympathy in the Senate." And then Grand Moff Tarkin's like, "Well, the Emperor has swept away the remnants of the Senate, so." Like it's basically been a power play. We don't have to worry about garnering sympathy with anybody anymore because the territorial governors, the Moffs, have basically taken control. Like that's all you like. There's like all this shit going on, but it's hinted at. You don't know anything about it. Like how did shit get to this point? So that was a story that needed to be told. Like, I mean, why do you think that the only Disney Star Wars movie that actually people liked was
7.
Rogue One?
Ooh.
No, Rogue One, because Rogue One was a prequel, but it was like, okay, Rogue One basically told about the first real victory that the rebellion had. It told about how they got the plans to the Death Star. Now, I didn't like all that Stardust shit and all that shit, and I
But
think it was
but they were able to tell a story of saying how even though that the people that tried to do that stunt were off, they managed to do something.
they were gonna die. Except here's the thing, okay? In the expanded universe, like in Rogue One, they got an entire crew of people that all died by the end. But in the expanded universe, you know who got the plans for the Death Star and didn't die in the process? Kyle Katarn, who, like they retconned him into being a former Jedi who felt disillusioned with the Order and left, and then became like a mercenary. But before all that shit, he was just a dude. This is a guy who fought two like 3-4 creatures that were a step below a Rancor with his bare hands, like raided an Imperial base, shot the shit out of some stormtroopers and dark troopers, like a total badass. And then he actually was a Jedi. It's like, come on, man. Why does every badass character in Star Wars have to be a Force user?
To be honest with you, it makes me wonder how the heck is he a Force user if he never had any big beeping training in it.
Well, they retconned it.
Thank you, Disney.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I couldn't help but be sarcastic.
Yeah, they retconned it. They retconned it because they wanted to tell a story. And to be fair, I mean, Rogue One is, I would say, the best Disney Star Wars film. It's not perfect. It has its issues, but it's much better than any of the other Disney Star Wars films. It's better than Solo. It's better than The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, or Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, I said it. Kenoshi, you have any thoughts about prequels?
I don't really care about origin stories that much, as long as they're interesting or they add clarity to the original story.
I gotta disagree with you, man. The reason I brought this up is because I see people getting really excited about the Breath of the Wild prequel, Hyrule Warriors prequel, and they're like, "Yeah, this is gonna be great." I'm like, "Why do you give it? Look, nothing you do in the prequel is gonna fucking matter."
Yeah, that's the thing. And if anything, I'm the one that actually took the time and saw the treehouse about it.
It's not about doing something to make something happen. It's just about getting more information about the world and the story.
Yeah,
Nobody knows how it's gonna end.
That's the thing. It's like all the information you get. It's like they're like, man, look how badass this character is. Doesn't fucking matter. Everything you do, all the world building they're gonna do, does not fucking matter because it's all gonna get apocalypsed by the end of the fucking game.
It's funny that I did say it was a Star Wars prequel that made me have the feeling of what the Legend of Zelda story is going to be. But then again, I was wrong about which prequel it was. It was Rogue One.
And some people just want more information about that character. I mean,
yeah,
the characters.
But even then, they're like, no, I understand what you're saying, but even then they're like, yeah, I'm really attached to this character. They're gonna die. Why are you getting attached to characters who are just gonna die in the end anyway? I mean, they're like, yeah, the Breath of the Wild prequel for Hyrule, the Breath of the Wild Warriors prequel. Like, I mean, I haven't even played the game, but here's what's gonna happen. You're going to get it's probably going to be a 3-act structure. You're going to play through as different characters. They're all going to, people are going to get attached. But here's how it's all going to end. Ganondorf is going to take control of the Guardians and the Zelda and the Hyrule Megazords. All those motherfuckers are going to die horrifically, and Link's going to get his ass whooped so bad he's going to get knocked into a fucking coma for 100 goddamn years. So what's the fucking point? Like, I mean, I like to play games where your actions have a net positive consequence. Why the fuck would I play a game where no matter what I do, no matter how well I play, I'm not going to win? It's not even like your sacrifice is going to be helpful because, I mentioned Rogue One earlier. Yeah, all those people died getting the Death Star plans, but eventually the plans got to the rebellion, and some force sensitive motherfucker flying an X-wing managed to bullseye a photon torpedo down the exhaust shaft and set off a chain reaction which blew the motherfucker up. I mean, there was a net positive at the end, but in Breath of the Wild, it's like, I mean, it's not even. I mean, even once you quote unquote save the world in Breath of the Wild, it's still not really a world you really want to be in. Whole bunch of shitty little towns and villages and shit.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people don't feel that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't. Oh well. Plus, I'm not like hugely into Breath of the Wild, so like I definitely don't want to play a fucking prequel to Breath of the Wild just to get. So. So I guess. But with that being said, anyone want to announce their unpopular opinion right now, or they want to wait till the end?
I might as well. This is probably gonna get me roasted for this, but I really am not gonna be happy knowing Minecraft Steve is gonna be in Smash because, by the looks of it, it's a creator character, a meme character, and those two are pretty dangerous because you don't know what kind of combo they're able to do, and when you finally find out, you find out that it's gonna go against the game and it's gonna be as dangerous as, well, Wii U and 3DS's Bayonetta.
I don't know. I liked Bayonetta. I liked Bayonetta. I thought it was a good game. Like
As in moveset denial, combos, and trolling.
well,
Lots of trolling.
well, I mean, Bayonetta is I mean, she's a pretty good character.
In Smash?
Yeah, in Smash, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Bayonetta oozes as a character, she oozes sex appeal, but she's not like it's not like she's a wanton sex appeal. Like Bayonetta's like, yeah, I know I'm fucking hot, and I bet you wish you could go with me, but guess what? I don't need you. That's what makes her such an interesting character.
That's the thing. I like Bayonetta for being who she is and not being ashamed of it, and as being at least not so monstrously not so monstrously troublesome because of anything she got nerfed. But
yeah, but that's every fighting game. Characters get nerfed in fighting games. Like when you play like Marvel versus Capcom, right? And they'll put the Hulk.
I was going to say that that even with the nerf hammer, Bayonetta is still pretty good.
Well, yeah, but like they nerf characters in games to make them more on par with the other characters. Yeah, because I mean, let's think about it. If you're playing like in the Superman game, Gods Among Us, right? Right, like in those games, those DC games, Superman should basically just take care of everybody because he's Superman, you know. Or what's his name? You know, if you play Marvel vs. Capcom, the Hulk should destroy everybody because he's the fucking Hulk, you know.
That's a gameplay nerf. I could tell you that right off the bat.
You know, it's like, well, oh wait, it's the Hulk. I mean, or you play Pokemon, and they'll have like this low tier team of Pokemon. Like if you had if legendaries were allowed in
battles
in competitive play, and their power was actually what it's reputed to be in the game, literally no one would win against legendaries. No one would ever win against legendaries. It would be like, oh,
that was 1 HP of damage. Okay, my turn.
It's like, oh, so you want to fight? Okay, well, let's see. What's your team? I mean, if the original Pokemon Red and Blue, you know, Gary's got his evolved Eevee, and his fucking whatever the opposite of elemental Pokemon you chose at the beginning of the game, and then he's got a fucking like a team of just really powerful Pokemon after that, and you're like, oh, isn't that cute? Well, here's my Pokemon. I've got I've got a Mewtwo. I've got it's like, oh, that's cute. I've got a Mewtwo. I've got I've got a Dragonite. I've got a Zapdos, a Moltres, and a and Articuno, and just to add a little flavor, I've got a Gengar. Or sorry, yeah, a Gengar. So let's dance.
Yeah. Hello, Mop. You're gonna be busy tonight.
So I mean, if that shit was actually what it was supposed to be, like you just run over people, but then they have to balance it out so that everyone has a chance, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like when people balance things out so that everyone has a chance. It's the reason I hate rubber banding.
In kart racing games, oh beep, that is the worst.
Yeah. Because the way I feel about it, if I do everything right, I should be kicking everyone else's ass. I should be lapping motherfuckers, not, hey, guess what? Rubber banding.
I expect rubber banding at times, but it shouldn't be to the point where I'm not able to actually race.
Yeah, I mean that's why I kind of don't like Mario Kart because of the rubber banding. I hate that. Kenoshi, you want to do your unpopular opinion now? You want to wait till the end?
I'll wait till the end.
All right. Okay then. So we did unpopular opinions first, most of us. So now we can get into our main topic, which is what would be our idealized game. Now the example I gave was a Super Mario platformer or platformers in general. Who wants to go first?
For me, the kind of RPG I hope to ever actually see come up sometime in the future, be it far or near, would be where your choices are remembered and you can have multiple endings for your final end game, like at least 6 choices.
Well, it sounds like you want Fallout New Vegas. Yeah, that's what happens in Fallout New Vegas.
I was gonna say that Bethesda games,
Fallout New Vegas wasn't made by Bethesda. It was made by Obsidian. Fallout New Vegas, everything that you said you wanted, that's Fallout New Vegas. Like you have 3 major endings, but then there's various, like basically depending on what your actions are with various factions as you get to the end of the game, can change what happens in those endings and the post of what happens to those people. So literally, your actions have consequences, and your reputation.
You're right. It's just that if anything, whenever I hear Fallout, the next word that's next to it, right?
No, I understand, and Bethesda did kind of fuck up Fallout with Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, but Fallout New Vegas wasn't made by Bethesda. They owned the game, but they farmed it out to Obsidian.
Yeah, though if anything, I'm sorry for accusing you of a wrong. It's just that, as I said, whenever you hear certain games, one name is attached to them, and it sometimes gives you a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah. But that's
Fallout.
What'd you say, Kenoshi?
So speaking of Fallout, I saw this game called Wasteland 3, and it kind of reminded me of what Fallout used to be.
Yeah. I actually got that game. I haven't played it yet, though.
Yeah, I was looking at it today. I was like, this kind of looks like Divinity with guns. At least the gameplay.
Yeah. Well, the guy who started In Exile Studios, Brian Fargo, was actually one of the people who created the original Fallout.
Oh, is that so? That's who it's created by?
Yeah, which is why people were so happy that Microsoft bought Bethesda, because now potentially Obsidian and In Exile could get together and say, "Hey, go to Microsoft and be like, look, we want to make a Fallout game, and we don't want Bethesda involved with the shit." And they could potentially do that. They could, like, Microsoft say, "Hey, give Fallout to them, let them make the next game, because you guys suck at it, because you made Fallout 76."
I was watching some gameplay this morning. I was like, "Oh, that game looks pretty fun. Looks like what Fallout used to be." And then obviously, since the creators of it made Fallout, I was like, "Well, that makes sense."
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the first Fallout game was gonna be a sequel to Wasteland, because Wasteland was made by Brian Fargo and his team over at Interplay back in the day, and like Wasteland was, you're a ranger set in a post-apocalyptic, radioactive post-apocalyptic future, that type of shit, and then they did Fallout, where you're not a ranger, you're just some poor bastard who was kicked out of your vault to find this device so that they can purify their water and de-radiationize it, deradiate it, decontaminate it. So yeah, and then Fallout 2, they basically refined the format. I prefer Fallout 2 to Fallout 1. Then Fallout 3 under Bethesda, which kind of sucked. Like, I know some people really like Fallout 3, but no. Like, never have I seen a game where the people making it didn't understand what the game was about, other than Fallout 3. And that was reconfirmed when I played Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Then again, I can only imagine how you felt when you found out how they treated Skyrim.
Well, I mean, like, here's the thing. The Elder Scrolls series under Todd Howard is kind of like Final Fantasy. You know how every Final Fantasy is its own thing? Or that's the way it used to be?
Up until about 13, yes, I believe you on that.
Like everyone was its own thing. Like, there were certain gameplay systems that were, like, in certain lore and certain items that were carried over, but by and large, each one was its own thing. Well, that's basically how the Elder Scrolls series under Todd Howard has been. Like, Morrowind is its own thing, Oblivion is its own thing, Skyrim is its own thing. The next Elder Scrolls will be its own thing. The problem with Elder Scrolls is that they don't actually build on a goddamn thing. Every game is its own thing. And to me, like, I prefer games where they have a good gameplay system, they build on it. They don't just take everything and chuck it out the window. Or strip out features to make it easier for people who don't want to put in the time to get good at the game. But
I want a game that doesn't have any like a game with no microtransactions, or a game that plans its DLC content, like doesn't charge you DLC, or doesn't add a payment plan for extra DLC content day one.
They don't even know what they're gonna do. Yeah. I mean, well, you're not gonna get that from Bethesda, because they got to get that money. Holla holla dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah.
Got to get that paper. Got to get that cheddar, Skrilla, greenbacks.
Yeah.
Holla holla dollar bill, y'all. Got to get that cash money, yo. I should never talk like that. I can't pull off the right accent, or it doesn't sound right when I say it. But
that was an interesting moment.
But yeah, oh man, just pop that joint. But yeah, like, for me, Elder Scrolls is just not a very good series. Actually, no. Vanilla Elder Scrolls are not good games. With mods, they're enjoyable. Heavily modded heavily modded Elder Scrolls games. It's the reason why people are like, well, why do you keep on going back to Skyrim? Mods. The reason I go back and play Bethesda games is because of the modding community, not because their games are actually good, inherently good. With mods though, they're absolutely fun.
I was gonna make the joke that if anything, it should be mod out 76 and mod rem. That's probably the joke.
I mean, well, I mean, I'm not a fan of Fallout 3. I like the original Fallouts, which you don't have to mod in order to play, so there you go. I like New Vegas because it felt like a throwback to the original Fallouts, but in a modern game engine, or at least a modern game design. So it wasn't an isometric top-down CRPG. It was more like a more how can I put this? More of a first-person shooter. Although, I mean, if you're playing if you're playing a Fallout game as a first-person shooter, it's not going to be good at that because that's not what Fallout is about. That's why they had VATS in Fallout 3 because the first-person shooting sucked. like, like that. That's why they had it, was so that you could basically do all that shit and not have to worry about it, which I'm okay with. Some people don't like it, but I do. um, so that's my own little thing. So yeah, for me, Fallout. So basically, like you said, Joel, if you want an RPG that where your actions, where there's like factional reputation, and where the quests actually determine like how you resolve quests actually have end game repercussions. I mean, that's basically the best way to do it. I mean, the only old school game that kind of did that was Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of miss Chrono Trigger and was thinking that if anything, at least a few endings, maybe about 6 or so, would be appropriate for what you do, since it would kind of be like you pick something at the beginning, and then you have 2 choices per choice that you made at the beginning of the game, which would be a total of 6.
Yeah. Chrono Trigger had that where basically how you completed
That's the
quests changed up what the end game was going to be.
Yeah, as in like if you finish something so fast, it kind of breaks the game, and they had to make something real quick.
So
Yeah, yeah, I did the quick endings too for the completionist in me.
yeah, the original Chrono Trigger on the SNES, I've gotten all the endings. I did not play Chrono Trigger on the
I
on
played the
the
I
DS.
played it on the DS
Yeah,
too, so
because they add that extra ending. I was like,
thing.
you're kidding. You're
That's the only ending that felt unsatisfying, but I did get it regardless.
Yeah, you guys are trying to connect this shit to Chrono Cross, and that game is an abomination. So I don't consider that to be.
Yeah, if anything, I consider the ending that you take after you revive Chrono and and get ready to kick Lavos' behind as the true final ending.
Yeah, but did you deal like for me the true final ending is the one where you go through time before the day of ruin, the day of Lavos, and you basically get all you do all those side quests to save those time those
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 time
those timelines. So you go into the future and you stop Mother Brain from destroying humans. You go into the time of the reptites, and
The reptiles.
the prehistoric time, and stop the reptites. You go into the Middle Ages and free the ghost of Cyrus.
Oh yeah, I did all those.
The present, you stop Hecron the Seventh from killing what's her name's father, Marl's father.
Yeah.
You go into and you get all the little special items like the Son of the Sun that you leave in prehistoric times for like a cajillion years till the end of time to turn it into an ultra powerful item.
So if anything, you somehow have to go back in time just a little bit because somebody jacked that stone early.
Yeah, it gets stolen, but it's worthwhile. Still get some good shit. But yeah, it's a really good game. I love it. Um, Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is the first game that I played where your actions had consequences. It was an RPG that it wasn't just this is the storyline and we're gonna lead you, you know, story beat to story beat to story beat.
Yeah. If anything, it kind of makes me wish for it, but I know that sadly you need a very ambitious crew in order for that kind of stuff to happen.
Or just more talented developers than Square Enix has these days. Because let's keep it real, they don't.
Yeah, Square Enix, you guys need to look back and see what you've done and try to replicate that instead of giving us smash the X button to win.
Yeah, that's what they do these days. Sadly, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, that's the thing that kind of gets me with uh, with those games. Next, Kenoshi, you want to go next for what would be your idealized game?
My idealized game would just be a game that's, just a game that doesn't follow any of a lot of these modern day,
Tropes.
yeah. So my idealized fighting game would be a fighting game without any supers.
Oh, so they go back to like Street Fighter 2 days?
Yeah.
Like you actually just had to be able to play the damn game?
Yeah.
I would love that too. I agree. I hate supers.
Um, it, having a super for doing combinations and attacks, I could get behind. Having supers for falling behind so badly that you need a way to make a comeback, that I don't approve of.
Nah, let's just get rid of supers.
No, I gotta go with Kenoshi on this one. Supers need to go. Cause here's the thing: if you're getting your ass kicked, um, you should be able. Like the only way to get better at not getting your ass kicked is to either, for the other person to make a mistake to where you can come back, or for your skill level to reach a point where, you can come back due to your skill. Supers kind of basically negate the need for someone to be skilled enough to come back and actually be good at the game. Like in Street Fighter 2, which I'm going to use an example because for a lot of people that's the granddaddy that started the trend of 2D fighters that didn't have supers. Like you basically, if you were getting your ass kicked as a character, you had to either switch to another character that you were good with, or you had to figure out how to use that character well, and that's what made it into a good game. Supers ruin that because it's like, oh, I'm getting my ass kicked, but as soon as I felt the super meter, I'm going to use it and kick your ass, and it takes away the fun, the skill level of the game.
That's the super I didn't. That's the super I was trying to say get rid of, as in if you're doing good, you should be rewarded for it.
Yeah. I know they're like, well, we don't want the people to feel like, but I mean, that's part of fighting games is that until you get good, you're just gonna get your ass kicked. That's part of that's the bargain you signed up for with a fighting game. You might not like it, but that's just the way it is.
I was gonna say that's also the that's also the thing that's in card games. If you're playing if you're playing a bad hand, you gotta try to work around it.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one genre of video games where um, I would say where the beginning of the game, when you're first learning, is kind of easier than what you're gonna get later on. Like, there's only one type of game where it starts off easy and then gets harder as time goes on, um, until you power level through it, and that's RPGs. Because every other game, like fighting games, start out hard and then they get easier as your mastery goes up. Platformers, depending on what like the nature of the platformer, start off kind of easy, and then they get harder, but then they reach a plateau where your mastery outpaces what they can throw at you. Um, so I think there's valid things about all of it. So with that being said, I guess I should go. My idealized game would be a single player RPG. Um, and I know people are gonna say, well, don't you like party based RPGs? I do, but I think a party based RPG is nice when it can be done well. But I haven't played a good party based RPG in a long time. A very, very long time. I mean, I would say that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 isn't even a really good party based RPG either. Yes, I said it. I know some people will disagree. I know some people will get upset by that, but I don't consider it to be a good party based RPG. I think you can do more with a single player RPG because then you don't have to worry about creating scripts and um, interactions for other characters, other party members. You can basically focus on your characters, what your character is going to be able to do. Um, and I got to kind of piggyback off of Jewel. I think the best the best single player RPG I could think of would combine aspects of like um, the world building of like a Xenoblade Chronicles X with the verticality of with the population of a city like with The Witcher with Novigrad with the writing of say a Fallout New Vegas. I think that would be cool. Um, my ideal, if you will. Imagine, if you will, a video game. Imagine a single player RPG where with some Dragon Age Origins thrown in, where basically in the beginning of the game you choose your origin, which would determine what your base beginning skills and background is, um, and all that type of fun shit. Um, and I'm tired of level based progression in video games. Like, why don't we go back to skills where like as your skills get better, you know, you get better at doing that. So instead of like, okay, you're a level 14 swordsman and you wield swords, so you can't use magic, and if you can, you're going to take a penalty to it because you're a swordsman. Like, why don't, instead of having that, just like if you want to be a swordsman, just equip a sword and start using it, and as the more you use it, the more skilled you get with it. So your skill with that weapon goes up. So your skill with all swords goes up over time. Um, I mean, that'd be cooler to me. And then if you did like expansions and DLC, you could add like better skill levels. Um, like you can like let's say you max out your sword skill at 100, and then it turns out well actually there's like swordsmen from the east who like they're beyond a 100 skill level with their swords. They can do shit like you'd find in Chinese mythology with like sword saint shit and sword intent and that type of stuff. So, but their sword levels like at 300, 400, 500. So you can over level those skills, making them even more deadly. Like I'd rather do that than just always. Well, the max level's 99, and that would basically stop people from over grinding and just being more powerful than everybody else, which happens in a lot of RPGs.
Especially ones that
video games, no matter
kind
what
of
it is, you
are
know what I always say, there's
enable
no
in
perfect
soft
games out there.
mode.
Perfect is not perfect to me, it's perfect to me, it's perfect to you. Simply enjoy your game.
Sometime in the Eocene.
Yeah, Joel.
I said, especially ones that enable some of a softer story mode.
I mean, like, there's this false dichotomy that some people have in RPGs where, like, if an RPG has a great gameplay system, it has to have a shitty story, kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles X. Or it can either have a great story and kind of a shitty battle system, kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I don't think there's a false dichotomy. I think you can have a good game with a great battle system, and the two aren't mutually exclusive for an RPG. It just depends. Do you want to do the work? A lot of developers don't. But that's just my opinion.
True.
They don't want to do the work. I mean, look at Breath of the Wild. Like, Breath of the Wild has a pretty good gameplay system, but the story is trash. And how they present the story is also trash. So, that's it. Our next topic is what are the best platformers by generation? So, 3rd gen, 4th gen, 5th gen, 6th gen, 7th gen, 8th gen, 9th gen.
That's a little bit of a trick because for me, I know it. I've only gotten Nintendo games, but so far most of the other platformers that I even tried on other systems, when I tried to actually look back on them, they
you
kind
were
of
unimpressed. They underwhelmed you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially sorry about this, Crash 3, which is supposed to be the best of the bunch.
I mean, I would say most of the platformers that they stack against Nintendo kind of sucked, but you'll be surprised by my list. So I'll go first, just so that you guys can see how I do it. So no one's gonna be like whatever. So 3rd gen, I'm gonna say the best platformer of the 3rd gen was Super Mario Brothers 3.
Agreed.
Because there is literally nothing on any other platformer that can approach how well made that game is.
Yeah, and 1 was an experiment. Oh boy, what an experiment.
1 is good. 2 is also good. But 3 takes the best parts of 1 and 2 and then overhauls the shit out of it. I would say 4th gen, the best 2D platformer of 4th gen is not Super Mario World or Yoshi's Island.
I was gonna say the Donkey Kong Country series.
I'm gonna say Donkey Kong Country 2. Donkey Kong Country 2 has the best platforming. Like a really good platformer, when you're in the groove of how you're moving through the level, should feel like a dance. Like you're
Yeah,
listening to a song
I
and you're
get,
moving to the music.
I get you. I was saying the entire Donkey Kong Country series for the SNES because, in a sense, that series really grew on me and took me quite a good ways from the Mario series for a while.
Yeah, I would say
So, if anything, the strongest I will agree with is 2.
yeah, the first Donkey Kong is good, is great. If I had to give it a grade, I would say it's a solid A. But everything that the first Donkey Kong Country does, Donkey Kong Country 2 takes that shit and
And
like makes it into an A plus.
yeah, I
um,
was going to say it gives you 101 completion bonus.
yeah, Donkey Kong Country 3, not like really. It's like how do you follow up Donkey Kong Country 2? And they did 3. And 3, like if 2 is basically them refining the formula, 3 is basically them just like um them just going crazy and just throwing shit against the wall.
I was going to say throw 3 was probably the crazy days, as in somebody was on shrooms.
I don't know about that, but it definitely is not quite as well focused as
The reason why I said it was on shrooms, they have to be pretty high in order to make some of those things,
some of those
and it
levels, yeah. And it's just it's not quite as tight
focus.
in its level design or anything like that. Gen 5, the 5th gen, I would say the best platformer of the 5th gen. Um, I will not say Mario 64. Mario 64 is good, but like there
The
are so many other games.
Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie kind of take that from me.
Yeah, there's so many other games on the N64 that are better than Mario 64 from Rare
I was about
alone.
to say, Mario 64 is the pioneer, as in it was first.
It's the first one through the door, but I think Banjo Tooie is better than Mario 64. Banjo Kazooie is better than Mario 64. There are even games not made by Nintendo or Rare that are better than Mario 64. I think Gex 3 is better than Mario 64.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Gex 3 is better.
I say
Um,
Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie.
the reason I say Gex 3 is better than Mario 64 is that Mario 64, if you look at the level design, it's very esoteric. There's a lot of levels where it's like the enemies look kind of weird. The levels, some of the levels are good, but some of the levels are like, this is some bullshit. Whereas Gex,
I was going to say the sky level.
no, they're just like the level design. Like, okay, they took the format from a 2D Mario game and then put it into a
3D realm.
3D realm. But that level design doesn't really work in retrospect in a 3D world, and that's kind of the downside of Mario 64. We let it get away with it because it was the first game to do it, but that level design doesn't work. Gex 3, on the other hand, does some cool shit. For one thing, the worlds to me were more interesting in Gex 3 because you're
They're
going,
big on TV channels.
yeah, you're going into TVs and different channels, and Gex outfit changes, and most of the time, I mean, you're not really trying. It's nothing really like, oh man, you look completely different, but it's just some cool shit going on.
It's flavor effects.
You know, the ability to like you go into the kaiju channel where Gex becomes a giant monster fighting other monsters. The sci-fi channel where you're basically like in space teleporting around fighting aliens. Like that's more interesting to me than Mario 64 where they have those fucking ugly ass Goombas that you can't really stomp on.
And you can't stomp on the Goombas, and you can't stomp on
Well, I mean, I said you can barely stomp on them. Like jumping on enemies in Mario 64 is really hard. Which is why they gave you the butt stomp.
Funny.
because the butt stomp stops your forward momentum in air, so you can actually land a jumping attack on an enemy.
That's funny because I never had trouble jumping on enemies.
It's not. Let me put it this way: if you compare jumping on enemies in a 2D Mario game to a 3D Mario game, it's much harder. Which is why most 3D Mario games, your primary mode of attack is not a jump; it's something else. Like in Mario 64, Mario's primary method of attack is like diving at enemies, picking up something, tossing it at them, um, dive kicking, slide kicking, that type of thing.
I get you. It just if anything, I felt it weird that you say that jumping is hard in Mario because
And I
it
said jumping
really
on enemies. Jumping on enemy. If there is an enemy that you have to hit precisely with a jump in Mario 64, it is a lesson in focus to land some of those hits on some enemies.
that's weird. As I said, because if anything, I had no problem jumping on enemies in the game.
But I mean, they fixed it in later games because you have other ways of hitting stuff. Now, part of that could be the camera because your greatest enemy in Mario 64 is the camera. It's not Bowser.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing that always bugs me in 3D games.
It's not
The
Bowser. It's that
camera.
fucking camera. Yeah. But I mean, I think people kind of overrate how that game is. I mean, Mario 64 has problems. It gets a lot of passes because it was the first 3D game to get so many things right, but it also gets some shit wrong too. Which is why it's not the best 3D platformer. It's not the best 3D platformer of the fifth gen. Now I know what some people are going to say. Well, what about Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot?
Um, I would put Crash at the very bottom of this barrel. Sorry, guys.
Crash Bandicoot isn't on my list because those, like, to me, like I said, my criterion for a good platformer is that it should feel good as you're running through the levels and you're in your groove. It should feel like you're dancing or you're listening to a song and you're moving with the beat or the rhythm or the tempo. Crash Bandicoot, I don't get that from any of the Crash Bandicoot games. Spyro the Dragon isn't really a platformer in my opinion. It's more of a action adventure game with some platforming elements.
I had to look at you on that one because that confused me. It's a action adventure with platforming.
With platforming elements. I mean, like, Beyond Good and Evil is not really a platformer. There's platforming elements in it, but it's not a platformer. Sixth gen. My favorite platformer of the sixth gen. I know this is going to be blasphemy for a lot of people. They're going to get mad at me, maybe cuss me out, but I don't give a shit. My favorite platformer of the sixth gen is Ratchet and Clank Going Commando.
That is oddly where I have to say I got nothing, but I have to give you a look at that one because
I don't like Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, I know.
Don't like Mario Sunshine. I hate that game.
And that's the only thing I got, and even I'm not counting it. That's the thing that's funny to me.
Yeah, like I like Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter over Mario Sunshine. I hate that fucking game. Like if I had the physical, I have that game physically, and I don't destroy my games. But if I had to destroy a Mario game in my collection, that would be it. Because I hate that game. I fucking hate Mario Sunshine. I hate the level design. I hate FLUDD. I don't like Isle Delfino. It heavily introduced the new Bowser Jr. I fucking hate Bowser Jr. as a character. I do not like Mario Sunshine. I know some people really like that game, but I'm not one of them. So yeah, my favorite platforming game of the 6th gen is like my number one is Ratchet and Clank Going Commando or Up Your Arsenal, and my second is maybe Jack and Daxter 2 or 3. Like I like those games better than as platformers, as 3D platformers than Mario Galaxy. I mean, not Mario, Mario Sunshine. I know some people will get angry at me about that. They're like, "How could you say that? How could you say that? Don't you like Mario Sunshine? I hate that game." My 7th gen is an easy one. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I mean, you know, there is no platformer of the 7th gen that is as well designed as those two games.
As much as I'm gonna get flack for this, I'm not a Galaxy fan.
Okay.
I was more into the new Super Mario Bros. Wii.
I mean,
Yeah, I've heard that.
I can see where you're coming from.
And this is the fact, and this is from me being more of a 2D than a 3D person.
I can see where you're coming from, but the reason I don't have the new Super Mario Brothers games on my list for 7th for their gens is because the new Super Mario Brothers games are too similar to the original Mario Brothers, and as a matter of fact, some of those games are a fucking step backwards in terms of gameplay design. Because in New Super Mario Brothers, shit that you could do in Super Mario World, you can't do in New Super Mario Brothers. Like, ride your Yoshi from level to level. Can't do that in New Super Mario Brothers games, which is just fucking stupid. But
I was gonna say that's a real headache that brings it down for me.
Like I mean, you know, I've said this before. People get mad at me when I say this. Stop stripping out features that are in the core aspect of a game. That's kind of the flaw with New Super Mario Brothers for me, is that they strip out features that are in one game for another. Although I will say New Super Mario Brothers U is a really good game. Much better than it has any business being. But yeah, for me, the best 7th gen platformer on the Nintendo system is Mario. Like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 is not only the best platformer, it may be like on a Nintendo system for the 7th gen, it may be the best platformer period of the 7th gen. Because on the 7th gen, you had like indies and smaller releases that were platformers, but they weren't nearly as well done. I don't think. So which leads me to my favorite 8th gen platformer, which is a tie between Mario Galaxy, Super Mario, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and 3D World. I like both of them equally. I do like both of them equally. They're really well made games. And I know some people are going to be like, well, what about PlayStation? What about Ori and all those other like indie platformers? I'll give an honorable mention to Shovel Knight because that's a 2D platformer, but that's
Believe it or not, mine's is a tie between Shovel Knight and Super Mario 3D Land, which is kind of the weird one for me.
I mean, I like 3D Land. I don't like it as much as 3D World. Like everything that 3D Land did, like 3D Land is one of those things where like,
that probably was the 7th gen one, so that's probably why.
Well, I mean, 3D Land is one of those games where it's like I understand what they were doing. They wanted to push the 3DS. They wanted the 3DS to sell well. But 3D Mario should not be on a handheld ever. Like no 3D Mario game should ever be on a handheld. they should all be on consoles. If it's a 3D Mario game. Case in point, 3D World is so much better than 3D Land in terms of level design and movement and all that shit.
That's the funny thing. That's the thing. I knew that 3D World was on the 3DS. 3D Land was on the Wii U, and I preferred that one over the handheld one.
Yeah, so it is what it is. My favorite 9th gen platformer. I don't have a favorite 9th gen platformer. I would have said when it came out it was Mario Odyssey, but Mario Odyssey just doesn't really do it for me. It feels like a sequel to Mario Sunshine, and I hate Mario Sunshine. So
that's the funny thing. I consider Odyssey a lot, not like I mean, it may be like Mario Sunshine, but it feels like it corrected a lot of things that Sunshine did.
Well, I mean, it did correct some of the things, but under the if you that's only on the surface. If you go a little bit deeper, a lot of the same issues that I have with Sunshine are in Galaxy. The gimmicky fucking jumping. In this case, it's with Cappy, and how you can take over enemies with relying too much on the gameplay gimmick. That's kind of the.
I would say that it depends on which land you're in, but I could.
Okay, let me put it this way: 75% of the areas where you go to in Odyssey, you rely too much on the Cappy gimmick and not on Mario's base fucking abilities, which should be his jumping. Okay, because he is Jumpman and all that shit. No, I'll just use my cap to take over this enemy, and it breaks the gameplay progression. Like there's this one area when you go to the forest that has the T-Rex and shit in it. And you go to the tops of this area, and there's these tanks you can take over. Now, so you're supposed to take the tank and use it to defeat some other enemies to make something appear so that you can go up to the top of this thing, or you could just take over the tank because the tank is immune, has extra traction, so it can go up this steep hill that Mario couldn't get up. Like what you're really supposed to do is use the tank to take out the enemies on the hill, so then Mario can hit these track pads that boost his speed so he can run up the hill. Or you can completely break the entire gameplay immersion and just ride it, take over a tank. So it's like this gimmick fucking breaks the game, and I hate that. Same thing with Flood. It's like, oh, you could do it the way the developers want you to do it, or you can use Flood and just completely break it, because why the fuck should we actually have a well-designed game? And then they factor in that shitty fucking camera. Like, you think Bowser's your greatest enemy in Mario Odyssey? No, it's the fucking camera. So for me, Mario Odyssey of 9th gen platformers, not really that good.
I'd say that I consider for now, Super Mario Odyssey to be the 9th gen platformer, but there is room for improvement. I'm gonna say that right now.
Yeah. So for me, my favorite 9th gen platformer, I'm gonna say Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty good.
Because it feels like I'm playing Donkey Kong.
I could say that kind of was a mess.
That's not the first Yooka-Laylee. The Impossible Lair is the sequel. That's like
Donkey
Kong
I was gonna
Country.
say the Impossible Lair. I could see at least more of a chance if I get a chance to play it.
Yeah, and the Impossible Lair is really good. It's basically like Donkey Kong Country, and Donkey Kong Country is a good game, and it's made by Playtonic, which has a lot of rare developers in it, so you know it's in good hands. And I love it. It's a really good game.
Why exactly did Donald Trump decide to flip-flop on the...
So with that being said, yeah, those are my favorite platformers, and I didn't do handheld platformers because a lot of those are re-releases of shit that we already know, like New Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Brothers 2, New Super Mario Brothers on the Wii. Like a lot of those games play the same. I gotta say, New Super Mario Brothers U is a pretty good game. Actually, a gorgeous game. So, that being said, anyone else have anything they want to add before we move on to the final topic?
I think I did my part. Kenoshi?
Anything you want to add, Kenoshi? No, okay. So our next.
No, I'm good.
All right. So our final topic is unpopular opinions.
And two of us already shot how we feel about things.
Yeah. So it's your turn, Kenoshi. What is your unpopular opinion? It doesn't have to be video games. It could be real life, anything. A rant, if you will.
See. I don't really have one this week.
All right. Well, I'll do another quick one then. Here's an unpopular opinion. And this isn't something that happened this week. It's just something that's been on my mind and I haven't really gotten out. I wish people, I don't like people who, when you go to the bathroom and you're in a urinal, and there's like a line of urinals, like a line of empty urinals, and you go to a urinal and someone gets right next to you, and there's a line of empty ones. I hate people who do that.
Yeah, that's gross.
As an addendum to this, I don't like people who want to talk to you while you're in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, I hate that too.
You find that one chatty person that always sends up in the bathroom.
It's like, look, listen, I'm trying to take a shit or a piss or both. I don't want to talk to anyone.
I'm trying to use the bathroom. I don't need somebody to talk while I'm having nature take a call.
Let me explain something to you about talking in the bathroom. There's only 3 things you can say to someone where it's appropriate to talk to someone if you're in the bathroom, okay? If you go to a movie or a concert and there's an intermission, okay? And you guys, like, people go to the bathroom and someone says, "Hey, that's a good show." Yeah. Okay, that's number 1. Okay? You're in taking a number 2 and the stall is out of toilet paper. Hey, could you pass me some toilet paper? This stall is empty. Sure. Okay then. Or someone is having a major accident, like they're having a medical emergency. Help! I need some help. You know, I'm having a stroke or whatever. Call 911. Okay, that's acceptable. If you aren't, look, if you aren't
appropriate things to do other than being in the movie theaters.
Yeah, if you aren't at a movie theater or at a play or at a concert or a comedy show where there's like an intermission between acts or comedians or whatever, and you go to the bathroom to, get yourself situated before the next act comes on, and, you're like, yeah, that's pretty funny, or that's pretty good play, or yeah, that was great. Or, someone, or you're in there and you ran out of TP. Okay, yeah. Or there's like some type of shared experience, like you and someone are in the bathroom and the bathroom is really fucking disgusting. Yeah, you can make a comment. Say, yeah, this is a disgusting bathroom. Yeah, it makes me not want to go. That's about it. Those are the only things you can say. Like, I don't want to hear anyone else talk about anything at all when it comes to, like, I don't want to have a conversation when I'm in the bathroom. That's all I'm saying. And people who do that, I hate you. I hate people who want to talk when I'm in the bathroom. I hate people who you're at I've had this happen to me. I'm at a urinal. There's like a line of like 8 urinals. And I'm like...
And somebody came up right to the one next to you, didn't they?
I'm like, motherfucker, don't you see all these empty urinals? Why you got to get right up on me? You D-bag. And not to mention, this happened a lot to me when I was in high school because we had kids, there were kids in my class who were self-hating, in the closet gay people. who desperately wanted to be out of the closet, but they couldn't do it. So they would sit there and go to the bathroom with each other and look at each other's junk. It was kind of
Awkward.
disgusting. Well, I mean,
that's gross.
yeah, it is gross. But what is especially gross is that I was the only black kid in school, and they wanted to look at my junk, but I was like, I never went to the bathroom with other people. So, because I knew what they were doing, because every time one of them would go to the bathroom, the other one would be like, I want to go too. And I'm like, what type of straight heterosexual man wants to go to the bathroom with another man?
Enough said.
Like the only time a straight heterosexual man would go to the bathroom with another male is if that's your son and you're teaching him how to use the bathroom. That's it. That's the only time. There's no reason that a man would go to the bathroom with another man unless there's some fuckery going on. And the hilarious thing is, I went to a Catholic school, and they were like, yeah, we're pro-life and homosexuality is wrong, and yet you had these little closeted people who were like it was obvious they were gay, because they spent too much time wondering about what gay people did in bathrooms. And I'm like, I hate to break this to you, but as someone who has worked in sociology amongst the intergendered, transgendered, and queer community, because I had to do that in order to get my degree. But I mean, and also to get paid a little bit after I graduated. Those people who were of that particular sect of gender, they are not trying to do anything funky in a bathroom. You know who is? Undercover, in the closet, air quotes, straight men do weird, funky shit in bathrooms. Not, like intergendered, queer, transsexual people. They're just like everybody else. Use the bathroom. Get in, do your business, wash your hands, get the fuck out. Okay, just like everybody else. The people who were doing weird shit in bathrooms were like the motherfuckers I went to high school with, who were like, "Oh, let me Cause I used to catch this one kid who like literally I'd be in the bathroom and this motherfucker was always trying to look at my private parts, and I'm like, you nasty bastard, ew, you're disgusting, dude. They finally ran him out of my school because he probably did some shit he had no business doing. Yeah, my school was a Catholic school, and the education was top notch, but some of those kids were so fucked up. But yeah, that's my unpopular opinion. Follow bathroom rules. Don't be doing shit like that. It's not cool.
Yeah.
We were going to cover games coming out in October, but by and large, most of the games coming out in October are kind of shit. Or, low level.
I was about to say, as long as they're not horror games for me, I could at least say that it's an interesting thing to look forward to.
Torchlight 3 is finally having its full release October 13th.
Oh, I gotta jump on that.
Yeah, I recently played it again just to, and I had to restart a new character because they wiped the servers. It plays a lot better. It's not great. Like, here's the thing. When you have early access, it's going to get better over time. So once they get the 1.0 release out, I'll really dive into it. But the fact that I didn't have to pay full price for it, and I just had to wait a few months, I'm okay with that. Watch Dogs Legion, I don't give a shit about this game. Like, here's another unpopular opinion. I'm tired of fucking YouTubers and all these different websites trying to push Watch Dogs Legion. I don't care. I legitimately do not care about any of this. Like, there's nothing Ubisoft. The only thing I want to hear out of Ubisoft is we are developing a program to deal with the issues we've been having. If they can't say that, I don't want to hear about anything they're doing. Any game that's coming out from Ubisoft, unless I hear we are dealing with the issues we've been having. Sorry. And I'm tired of these YouTubers trying to push these games. Hey, man, Watch Dogs Legion is looking great. Oh, that's cool. What has Ubisoft been doing to address the systemic misogyny and harassment that's been going on at their company? Yeah, I'm like a parent with a kid that's effing up in school, and the kid's trying to distract you with other BS. It's like that's nice. What are you doing about your grades? That's how I feel with Ubisoft. So like I don't want to hear about, oh well, this game is better and they're coming out with this. None of that is useful to me. I don't care. Um, what are they doing to fix their problems? So anyway, it's almost 9 o'clock. We've done the podcast. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Well, I think we could be clear that unless we thought anything interesting about the treehouse, I think we got nothing.
Yeah, I really didn't care about. I didn't watch the Treehouse, and I wasn't really interested in it or any of the games they showed. So,
It was only showing Pikmin 3 Deluxe and the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
yeah, two games I really didn't care about, so I just didn't,
One, I actually knew what was going to happen, and the other, I felt like I'm not a Dynasty Warriors person, so.
Well, the way I felt about it is I already have I already have Pikmin 3, and what they're adding to the new one isn't enough for me to, you know.
Yeah.
It's not enough for me to want to buy it again at $60, especially when I got Pikmin 3 for like $30. Like, why would I want to pay more for a Switch version of a game? And so that shit ain't happening. And I already stated how I feel about Hyrule Warriors 2 Breath of the Wild prequel. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't want to play a game where anything I do is futile. Because nothing I'm going to do is going to make any difference to what's actually going to happen by the end of the game. But that's just me. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe.
You can get in touch with us on Twitter, on email, by Discord.
Yeah, we got all types of stuff. So with that being said, you can reach me at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com. You can at me on Twitter at Matthew Wesley and Mr. Redfox91. There's a link to the Discord under the video. With that being said, peace, good night, and
hype responsibly, and don't forget to beep and vote.
Yeah, wash your hands and vote. You can vote early. I already voted. Like, literally, like, they keep on sending me shit in the mail. They're like, yeah, come on, are you with us? I'm like, I already voted. It's out of the way. I don't have to worry about the shit. I am, full disclosure, I am volunteering with a local political party where I live to get people out to vote. So, but aside from that, I already voted. So now I can just aggravate other people and get them out to vote. It's great. So
I'm waiting for my ballot.